Hey, welcome back and thanks for coming to see us here at Gary Talks Truth, coming to you live on tape from the secret headquarters of Gary Talks Truth, located somewhere on this planet. So as you can see, it's kind of all decked out here. And if you're expecting fancy, you're in the wrong place. However, if you are hoping for a counter to the crap that we hear on most talk radio, if you're the type of person who likes facts and figures and also a good laugh, who enjoys the written word too, then you're in the right place. Is that right? Also, so anyway, I do a podcast called Gary Talks Too. That's available on Spotify, Google, and Apple, as well as Radio Public, or my website, www.gvbrights.com, where you can easily check out any episode that you like. And on that, I do a bit about how historical fiction sort of represents what's going on today. That, in other words, what's old is new again, and what's new is really old. And people just keep acting the same way. They just dress better and have faster cars and bigger weapons, unfortunately. Then the last part is my favorite, and a crowd pleaser by far, is the political rant, wherein I just sort of let myself go. Now, as I've said, I don't cover any of the easy, obvious things as a rule. I leave that to the big guys, the people with big studios and money and stuff, and producers. I have a cat, that's all. So anyway, I'm going to pass on the rant from episode 14, which just went out the other day. But I did vary from the path a little bit because it's sort of a multi-topical, where usually it's just one thing. First, I wanted to start out by saying that it's an upbeat story, probably have a happy ending here before too much longer. And that is, dirty little Donnie is finally getting his butt kicked up, down, and sideways. Nothing fills this old heart with joy more than when I see a headline saying that he's probably going to lose all of his businesses in New York City, he and his sons. It's just so satisfying, that smugness, that superiority, that, well, I don't have to tell you, I'm sure. So. Okay, so you're in a good mood now. We'll get on with the main topic, which is something I've been talking about a bit, both here and on the podcast in another writing, and that's what I see as the greatest danger to American children today in our educational system, and that's this fake bullshit university called PragerU for kids. They'll say in their literature they don't pretend to be a university, but they kind of tint themselves that way. They make a big point of saying, I don't want to get this wrong here. They use a lot of credentialed teachers. That's a very favorite expression of theirs. They use it constantly. Not exactly sure what it means, but I was a credentialed teacher for 50 years, so hey, you want me teaching your kids? So I signed up for both for these PragerU newsletters, and I suggest that you do the same too if you have children, grandchildren, or you just give a damn about the schools in your area, because this is a frightening thing. This is a right-wing propaganda mill that is financed by frackers and their backers. Sounds like a bad Motown band, but it's not. It's not funny what they're doing. They're using animation and short videos to re-explain the world to America's children. I talked before about one in particular that said slavery was sort of inevitable. You know? So in my inbox yesterday morning was another one of these 5-minute videos. And it was made by none other than that champion of the downtrodden student public education, Betsy DeVos. You remember her. I'm not making that up. Anywho, her rant was about Title IX. Remember Title IX? One that gave equality to women's athletics programs and therefore academic programs and everything else. She says that it was a good law now being used, quote, it's a good law being used by progressives to help transgender athletes. She's very confrontational from the start, as I have found most of these MAGA Nazis are. They prefer this method of communication for some reason. It's hard to figure why. It doesn't work for me. She opens with saying she, quote, doesn't know what progressives have against high school and college girls and women, or what they have against high school and college men either. Now, isn't that a nice way to frame a discussion? What a dick. So she goes on and on with half-truths and personal beliefs and prejudices stated as fact, which they're obviously not, all with that smirking smile on her face. It's actually kind of chilling, like watching a snake come to eat you. There are 6 more of these little gems on offer on the same page, and these are the titles. Again, I'm going to read from my paper here, so I don't get the titles wrong. Titles like The End of Women's Sports, Gender Identity, Why All the Confusion, Sex is Binary, The Truth About Gender Affirming Care, Sexualization of Children, and my favorite, Why Girls Become Boys. I actually watched that whole entire thing, and now my eyes hurt. According to this particular little number about girls wanting to be boys, before 2012, it was unheard of and never happened. And some study that they financed found it's only happening now due to, again, I want to quote this right, peer pressure and social media, of course, the old boogaboos. It's happening now because, and again, I quote, progressives are teaching these girls that if you take testosterone, all your problems go away. Goes on to say further that these girls are simply suffering from a mental disorder, and it's called gender dysphoria, and need to be treated for that, probably in a psych ward for make them happy. She also railed something about 16-year-old girls having double mastectomies. I have trouble believing that one. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I have trouble believing it. And get this, against the teaching of gender identity or the concept of gender identity at any level, anywhere, it's ridiculous. So apparently I'm a glutton for punishment because watch another video called, and again, I gotta get it right, Busting Media Lies About PragerU. It's a whopping 33 minutes of agonizing, bending, twisting, along with the usual MAGA Nazi smears. The left and progressives, they're responsible for all that's evil in the world. They start out after a few insults, it's done as a discussion between two people, by saying that PragerU teaches, quote, cultural literacy as opposed to lies. cultural literacy as opposed to lies. These are their words. I'm not putting words in their mouth. They're putting their goddamn words in my head without ever naming one media lie. When they do dig into a report from Media Matters, a very responsible, largely above the fray organization, they never once refuted anything that Media Matters brought up. They just kept saying asinine things. They laughed off it all by saying dumb shit like, oh, sure we do, or that's not what we do. We don't do that here. Like that's a response to specifics that are contained in a report and corroborated. And the other thing that they like to crow about is they say progressives teach that America was created for slavery. So their views, as you can see, are a little screwed up, and they need to be watched. This type of stuff is dangerous. It's been dangerous throughout history. It's dangerous in the past. It's dangerous now. It will be dangerous in the future. There's nothing wrong with presenting an opposing point of view, as long as you can back it up with something beside your personal prejudices and hatreds, and fears, facts, figures, numbers, data, pictures, witnesses, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and close, and thank you again for checking out Gary Talks Truth. And I hope I see you again next week. Sorry I'm a day late. Try to do them on Wednesdays. Okay. Adios, amigos.